how to ditch the diet mentality and 10x your health. It's very important that you understand this before you probably even start a journey to bettering your health, to losing weight, because this diet mentality is what's going to hold you back more than so many other things, and you don't even realize you have it until you start thinking about it and talking about it. Because how many of you have started a diet on like a Monday? You're just like, this is the time, I'm starting today. Then just to fall off by Friday. Or how many people have actually done a diet like Weight Watchers or Optavia and lost the weight and hit your goal only to gain it all back, gain some of it back, and still not feel very good? That's part of the diet culture that you've been stuck in, and that is what we're going to try to get you out of. Because the diet industry thrives on restriction. They thrive on you needing them. And I'm going to talk about why in just a second. But true health comes from a sustainable approach. Not short-term fixes, a sustainable approach, a long-term approach. And that goes back to like saying, I'm gonna start a diet on Monday. You should never have to start a diet. That term has been misused. Your diet should just be what you do every single day, every week, every month, consistently. Today, you're gonna learn how to break free from that diet mentality, and you're gonna learn simple yet powerful shifts to revitalize your metabolism and overall health. So part one, the problem with dieting. The problem with the diet mentality. It's a cycle. We like to call it the diet cycle or yo-yo dieting, where you restrict really hard or you go on a diet program, you have a bunch of cravings, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't have this, I can't have this. You feel really restricted, and then you might break and you might binge on a weekend, and that ruins your progress. Everything's over, so you just go back to what you were doing in the past. And then you feel guilty about doing that. You feel guilty and almost shameful of where you are in your body. So you start over and you do it again. And then the cycle continues. You try one diet, doesn't work, or maybe it does, but then you go off of it, you gain the weight back. So you go on another one. Well, that one didn't work either. I'm gonna go on another one. That is the diet cycle. That is yo-yo dieting. Now, these diet companies rely on that to keep happening, because if you were on a sustainable diet that lasted the rest of your life, they're out of money. They don't make any more money. They don't have a business model. They want you to continue using them. That's why they don't teach you anything. They just give you arbitrary rules, restrictive rules, so that it works, but you don't really know anything outside of those restrictive rules. And so you fail over and over and over. And it's not your fault. It's the company's fault. It's the diet mentality, the diet culture that causes these issues. Now, why do diets fail? One being they're super restrictive. You end up craving and then binge, and then you feel guilty, and so they don't work. They're too restrictive. There's other reasons, a little more scientific. Metabolic adaptation and slowdown is what happens whenever you diet off and on. You're really low in calories, and then you're really high in calories, and then you're really low again, and all of a sudden you've restricted so much that you're just not that hungry because your metabolism in your body pares everything down. That chronic dieting slows down your metabolism. So you might think, well, I'm just older, my metabolism's slower. No, a lot of times your metabolism is slower because of all the dieting that you've done in the past, because you've not used your metabolism as it's meant to be used because of all this dieting that you've done. It also causes hormonal chaos in your body. Restrictive eating disrupts hormones like cortisol, insulin, leptin and ghrelin, which are your hunger and satiety hormones. And so by dieting off and on, not getting in what you need, your hormones are going to be all over the place. Especially if you're one day really low, one day really high, your body doesn't have a sense of regulation. So your hormones are going crazy. And then the other reason why they fail is that psychological burnout. Dieting creates this all or nothing mindset. And that all or nothing mindset is why you cannot seem to get to your end goal. Because your end goal might take 6 months. It might take some people 2 years, 3 years. And if it's an all or nothing mindset, you cannot be all in for a whole year, whole 2 years. So of course you're gonna fail. You're gonna have weeks on end where you don't feel like you're all in. And so you have to break out of this all or nothing mindset. Now, how do you make this shift? How do you actually do that? Because by doing this and making this shift, you're going to 10x your health with the most basic practices, okay? The first shift to make is to stop focusing on restriction and start focusing on nourishment. Other people have said it as stop looking at being skinny and look at being strong. It's the same concept. You don't want to cut foods out. You don't want to just try to be as skinny as possible, because I kind of equate skinny with weak, and you don't want to be weak, especially as you're aging into 40, 50, 60 and beyond. You're going through menopause, perimenopause. You don't want to be weak. You want to be able to hold your grandkids. You want to be able to get on the floor, play with them. You want to be able to do things you want to do in retirement and travel and have a healthy brain and body. You're not going to do that through restriction. Skinny does not equal healthy. That was a misnomer that was played on by the diet industry for so many years. So instead of cutting foods out, focus on adding foods in, adding nutrient-dense options, adding foods that fuel your body instead of, or that are just that low-calorie option. Because those low-calorie options are, sure, if you're trying to lose weight, they help, but at the end of the day, they're low-calorie because they've been manipulated, unless you're eating like a low-calorie whole food diet, which you can do, but most of the time, you're not, because you're craving chocolate. So you're eating this like fake low-calorie chocolate. You're eating Halo Top ice cream, which is totally fine, but at the end of the day, it's filled with chemicals, right? So focus on nourishment and not restriction. Add nutrient-dense foods in instead of taking them away. So the example of this would be to start looking at prioritizing specific nutrients. Protein, obviously, is the number one. Everybody talks about that, so I'm not even going to talk about it because you know you need more protein. Fiber being the other. And fiber isn't just to knock the hunger feeling that you feel when you're in a deficit, a calorie deficit, or you're not eating enough, because you actually need more fiber and eat more to revitalize your metabolism. The fiber also is important for your gut microbiome, which like 95% of people, their gut microbiome sucks. They're not getting enough fiber. They're not getting enough probiotics and prebiotics and polyphenols. So fiber, insoluble and soluble, is very important. So focusing on adding that in is key. And when you do add that in, you're likely going to be adding in those other things, because the same thing that has fiber has polyphenols, prebiotics, and so on. And then healthy fats to regulate your hunger. Focus on those three things first. Healthy fats being the fat found in salmon, which is also going to give you protein. Olive oil. Butter is a fine fat as well. And then, there's this big conspiracy on seed oils, and yes, they're not great for you. So just get the olive oil. That's all you really need. You don't have to focus on the butter or the beef tallow or all this crap that people are talking about. Just have olive oil, grass-fed butter, and you're fine. The second thing you need to do to shift and get rid of this diet mentality is actually work on revitalizing your metabolism, which is the scariest thing for most women, because you're moving away from this eat less and move more mentality and toward fueling your body properly. Now, to fuel your body properly, you actually need to eat more food. You need to eat enough food to fuel the regulation that your body needs day to day. And that regulated feeling that you get is right where you don't gain weight, you don't lose weight. That's the amount of food you can have that just kind of puts you in this normal state. Most people, most women that I'm talking to over 40, 45, 50, when they come in, they're either one, not eating enough at all, or the consistency is all over the place. It's here, it's there. And so their averages are just kind of non-existent. They don't average anything because it's so far apart. And so bringing everything to the middle, getting it to where you're eating enough for your body to function and function well is what you got to do to revitalize your metabolism, to revitalize your body. And by doing this, you're going to feel so good. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to have a ton of energy. You're going to sleep better. Your hormones are going to be better. And by doing that, you're in turn going to drop some inflammation. And I have a lot of women that actually lose weight in this phase of building more calories in. The second thing is strength training to go along with this newfound energy intake, and then protein intake as well. You're going to build some muscle, and your metabolism is going to speed up through this muscle growth. You're also going to look the way you want to look a lot sooner. Flexibility in having this like faster metabolism, you're able to eat more calories and more food and keep the weight off instead of eating less and less and less and continuing to gain. You're going to be able to eat as much as you would like to eat without restriction. And by breaking that mindset, you're going to be a lot happier about eating the food that you want. Now, to master this mindset shift, you have to go from this typical like, oh, I can't eat that, or that's low calorie, that's high calorie, this food's good or bad, and shift it. You have to say to yourself, I'm someone who fuels my body well. I am somebody who eats a nutrient-dense diet. I am not somebody who eats to lose weight and be skinny. That is not who I am. There's a time and a place to eat to lose weight. But if you can't lose weight and you feel like crap, it's not right now. I can promise you that. You are somebody who eats well. You are somebody who eats to fuel and not somebody who eats to be skinny, because that is not going to get you where you want to get. That is going to push you in the opposite direction. And that is part of that diet mindset. You also can't say, oh, I was so bad last night. I had a glass of wine and some ice cream. You can't say that, right? It's okay that you did that. You're not a bad person. So stop identifying foods as good or bad and tell yourself that you are someone who fuels your body well, okay? Ditching the perfection trap is also very important. It's all about progress. And I have to tell my clients this all the time. They've said, I had such a bad week. You know, I was so stressed out. My job, I had this to do. I had so much more to do than normal. And my week was terrible. And I look at their food logs and I look at their workouts they got in. And everything was pretty good. They missed like maybe 1.5 days of stuff that they should have gotten in. But if you look at it compared to a previous week that they were either sick or had another stressful event going on, they absolutely blew that week out of the water. So you can't correlate this week that was terrible and stressful and I was sick, so I did awful and everything, to a week that it was really, really good. You had a ton of energy. That's not how you can compare these things, right? You have to aim for progress, and progress can look like a bunch of different things. And so I ask in my check-ins, how did you make progress this week? Just by thinking about that each week, how did I make progress last week? And you can pinpoint 1 to 2, maybe even more things of like, you know, I did do that better this week, even though you might not have felt it. And some people say in the check-ins, I didn't make any progress this week. And I can always find 3 to 5 things that they made progress in. There is always something. If you are not quitting, you're moving forward, okay? You can't be perfect on everything. So knock that out of your head, write it on a Post-it note, progress over perfection, because this is the big thing that's gonna keep you moving in the right direction. Now, the power of sleep and managing your stress is also really key here. The chronic stress that you feel, whether from the diet mentality or from lacking sleep or you know, the anxious life you may live and just on a regular basis, is going to make your brain do some crazy things. It's going to make you think that you're doing so much worse than you are. It's going to make you more tired and you're going to make worse decisions. And so regulating your cortisol, regulating your sleep is also really important. A couple things to help do that. I'm not going to go super into this because this isn't super into the diet mentality, but it's important to understand that cortisol and your stress response affects how you feel about these things. Have a wind down routine in the evening, like a bedtime routine. Really important to go to sleep at the same time each night. Walking in the sunshine, and for stress management, listening to an audiobook that you love, doing breath work. Really, really important. If you can take 5 minutes to sit by yourself and just breathe or enjoy your favorite cup of tea, that is going to help you wind down, help that cortisol response. And in the mornings, if you're not eating anything and you're drinking caffeine, coffee on an empty stomach, you're getting up and just like rushing out the door, drinking caffeine, your cortisol is probably sky high. Stop doing that. Have a slower morning if possible. And if it's not possible, eat before you have the caffeine at least. That's going to negate that cortisol response that caffeine gives you. So the last thing on the diet mindset and breaking this mentality is make it a lifestyle. Circling all the way back to what I mentioned in the beginning, that your diet shouldn't be something you do from Monday to Friday. Your diet, from the root of the word, is how you eat on a consistent basis, week after week after week. And by managing and understanding how your diet can look 80% of the time, and the other 20% of the time of eating what you would love to eat, but you know probably isn't the greatest for you, and then 80% of the time still eating stuff you really enjoy, but you know fuels your body. And that is the key to making it a lifestyle. Build habits that work with your life and not against it. Build habits that work with your body and not against it, right? And by doing that, a lot of times it's just trial and error. Like, I can teach my clients all the ways that I do things, but I'm a 26-year-old guy. The way I do things is not going to work for you. So you have to figure out what works for you, right? And that is part of what I do in the program, is help you find what works for you. Because some women that I coach, you know, breath work doesn't work. They need something different. They need a hot bath before bed. And so, yeah, let's do that instead. Make it a lifestyle, It's not a temporary fix. When you go into your health journey, you shouldn't be looking 30 days down the road saying like, I need to get 30 days in and then I'm good. No, you need to be looking 15 years down the road saying, I want to be this person in 15 years so I know what I have to do now, which can be daunting because it's so far away. But if you don't look at it that way and you're looking at this 30 days ahead, that person you're going to be 15 years from now, you're not going to be happy with. So make it a lifestyle. Quick recap, just to end out here. Diets keep you stuck. The diet industry needs you to continue failing because they rely on that. So focus on nourishment, nourishing your metabolism with the right nutrients, and the mindset shift away from, perfection and the all or nothing. It's all about progress. It's all about doing the little things each day that stack up. Now, one small change you can make today to ditch the diet mentality. That's what I want you to think about. I want you to come up with, what is one small thing I can do today to ditch that mentality? Is it journaling about your experience in the diet world? Is it going and writing progress over perfection, slapping it on your mirror so you see it every morning? What is that going to be? I invite you to share that with me over Messenger or in the comments of this, because I think it's really important just to take the first step. Now, your health isn't about rules and restrictions. It's about freedom, okay? When you fuel your body the right way, you don't just lose weight, you gain energy, confidence, and a better, healthier life for you. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. You could lose all the weight on the scale, possible, and still not be happy. You could still have that insecurity about your health because you didn't focus on your whole full body. You were just focusing on being skinny and not nourishing. So nourish your body, and I hope everybody has a good one.